Well, thanks for clicking on to the late edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It's Tuesday. We are going to end the year on a particularly chilly note, and we had several places waking up to a fresh covering of snow over the course of this morning. As expected, significant snowfall has occurred across northern parts of the British Isles, in particular areas upwards of 150 metres and above. We've seen a good several inches to as much as close to a foot of snow over higher elevations. But you can see the general synopsis here over the course of this evening. We've got an area of high pressure extending from the North Atlantic up into Greenland. We've got an area of low pressure centred bank slap over the British Isles, and we're continuing to feed that Arctic air in from the northeast here, and that will be the case as we go through the remainder of this week and the remainder of this year. In fact, there is no real end in sight to this chilly weather pattern, and of course that is good news if you've been waiting for the last several years on some winter weather here. So you can see the general idea as we look at the chart from the Europe North Atlantic perspective. Let's have a quick focus in on the British Isles here. We're going to continue to maintain a kind of showery theme, particularly windy, particularly chilly across Ireland and Northern Ireland and the western flank of the British Isles, thanks to stronger northerly winds. But certainly over the majority of mainland Britain, winds are somewhat lighter. But what we're getting is we're getting a feed of showers coming in. These are falling as a mix of rain, sleet and snow. But as we get these pulses of colder air coming in on that northerly airflow, we're seeing snow showers even to sea level here. But generally speaking, the general rule of thumb is at sea level, it's been generally rain. And then, of course, once you get inland, you've got a kind of rain, sleet, snow mix. But then, of course, when you get into any kind of elevation at all, you're seeing snowfall generally. So we're going to continue to see that with a little feature that comes in to the southern half of the British Isles over the course of the middle and latter half of this week. We've got more energy coming into northern parts of the British Isles, so we're going to continue to see fairly heavy snow showers, in fact, across northern Scotland here, and that is going to add to the already significant accumulation that we've got here. But you notice here, as we get into the latter half of this week, we've got a little area of low pressure pushing in off the Atlantic here. That bumps into the cold air. There is going to be somewhat milder air just trying to get into the southwestern portion of England here and even South Wales. That is going to lead to some rainfall, but once that precipitation meets the colder air inland, we are going to see that changing over to snowfall. Not expecting, certainly off the GFS, we're not expecting a huge accumulation inland, but certainly we could get some coverings here. We've had some coverings across parts of the Midlands, Greater Manchester, even parts of the south of England as well. Any kind of higher elevated areas, we're seeing snow accumulating here. But generally speaking, at this moment in time, it's more of northern Britain that's seeing the accumulating snow in a significant way. But you can see here as we continue to skip through, this is on the this is New Year's Day. We see here some snow possible across the southeastern half of the British Isles. We're also seeing a little feature coming in off the North Sea that could enhance snowfall across the southern Scotland, the north of England here as well. So we'll just continue to see this northeasterly airflow, keeping things on the wintry side and also cold. Any kind of clear skies at night, we're seeing temperatures drop well below freezing, especially over snow-covered ground across northern England and across northern Scotland. We could be seeing temperatures of -10 quite comfortably here. By daytime, we're struggling to get much above freezing over that snow cover, and about 3 degrees at very best in areas even without the snow cover here generally. So let's have a look again at the back to the overview once again, because it does get quite interesting actually as we go towards the first week of January here. As you can see here, the high pressure sitting anchored over the North Atlantic. That's keeping things, basically keeping the Atlantic shut down, and with low pressure kind of over the British Isles, we'll continue to keep our air coming in from the north. But if you notice here, as we press towards the week 1 of January, that area of high pressure, in fact, starts to kind of build over the top into Iceland, into the northern half of the British Isles. And what that's doing is it's deflecting these areas of low pressure further south. And of course, when you've got high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, you then start to pull in our air from the continent here. So we're going to see that as we go forward here. So you can see here, as I continue to skip through this loop, this takes us into the new year, and you can see that area of high pressure starting to kind of build over top of the British Isles here. And then we're starting to see that alignment here of the isobars indicating an easterly airflow. So that's going to keep it cold, but in fact reinforcing the cold, because we're going to pull in colder air from the continent as opposed to dragging Arctic air over the water here. So it does turn colder, I think, and what we're going to see is we're going to need to keep our eyes on these areas of low pressure to the southwest of the British Isles, going to try and push in moisture into the cold air, and of course that would change very quickly over the snowfall. But certainly a very interesting synoptic look as we go through week 1 of January here. And may I add here that this sudden stratospheric warming that is definitely likely to come now I'm getting more and more confident now that we've got an extreme winter pattern. If you think it's cold, if you think it's wintry at the moment, there is the possibility that we have even more significant cold coming, like kind of, dare I say this, but even your kind of 2010 level cold is possible if everything comes together as the models are very much indicating at this moment in time. Mid to late January could be a very significant and severe spell of winter weather. Now, I think there is a lot of things that's indicating that we have got a big winter coming up, because we've had pretty much record-breaking Siberian high pressure. We've had the coldest temperatures in northern Scandinavia for the month of January, or sort of say December, since 1995. We've had significant record snow across parts of the United States, across Japan. We've had extreme cold across parts of Siberia as well. And of course, we're going to get that sudden stratospheric warming very likely here. So there is a lot of things all coming together that's indicating that we have got major winter weather coming during the middle and latter half of January here. So the strat warming essentially occurs at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. Remember, back to this time last year, we were talking about a record strong polar vortex. So we've got the complete and utter opposite of what we had at the very same time last year as this year. So that's pretty remarkable, actually, when you look at it. But looking quickly at the 850 millibar temperatures before I show you the strat warming, you can see here that, let's get back to the sequence here. And this is the reason why we've got a bit of a mix of rain, sleet and snow, is because we've got modestly cold air in place. And of course, when you drag Arctic air over waters that are relatively warm, that cold air kind of modifies, and therefore we have a bit of a mix of milder air and colder air, hence why we're getting that kind of mixture and that complication down at sea level here. But some of these more intense pushes of cold air with the showers going to bring snowfall right down to sea level, of course. But you can see here as we skip through, and this is of course at 5,000 feet, the temperatures here, we do wrap in some colder air during the latter half of this week here. So that is going to be a reinforcing shot of cold air. Notice here the greens over the North Atlantic, that's representing of course the high pressure pushing warmer north. And if you pay attention here, folks, you notice here that warmer air starts to lift up and over the top of the British Isles here. And essentially what that's doing is it's going to then draw some very cold air over Scandinavia, over northwestern Russia, and pull it westwards into the British Isles here. So it's reversing the wind field from westerly to easterly. And of course, like I say, this is before we even get that sudden stratospheric warming, which indicates that we have some very major winter weather to come here overall. So let's have a quick look. This is at the 10 HPA. This is the temperatures, and if you notice here as we skip through, we have a classic sudden stratospheric warming event taking place. Last time this happened, it produced a beast from the east at the end of February 2018, and of course, as you can see here, it basically just swallows up that vortex as we skip through the loop here. So it's just a beautiful situation developing if you're wanting major winter weather here across the British Isles. Now this one particular model run isn't just as intense as the previous runs, and of course the model does go back and forward with this, is it actually splits the vortex. One piece goes into North America, the other piece goes into Europe here, and that would be a classic signal for major blocking over Greenland, and of course major cold both over North America and over Europe here. So I think I've spoken long enough. It's midnight, and I'm sure you don't want to get into anything more than what I've already talked about here. Big winter weather coming, and certainly keep it right here on markvoganweather.com and on YouTube and on Twitter for the very latest weather, not just here across the UK, across Europe, but across the world overall. Have a great evening. Bye for now.